morning, good morning, good morning. It's Elizabeth Eleanor, and we are pausing this morning, and we are also having daylight savings here, so we're a little bit early for those Queenslanders out there. um, let's talk about trusting your inner voice in love. So, if you're on here, I'd love for you to say hi in the chat and let me know that you're here connecting. How are you going this morning? Let's talk about love and listening to your inner voice, because when we're in love, we often get so sidetracked from listening to ourselves and connecting in with that deeper knowing, right? And we can get caught up in somebody else's frequency, somebody else's dream, somebody else's way of, rules and regulations and beliefs. I know I have definitely had that experience. So if you have, let me know in the chat if you're someone that has got caught up in somebody else's stuff, right? In the way that they want life to be. And it's okay. It's the way it is. When you fall in love, you just want to be in love with this person for the rest of your life and feel this beautiful, amazing experience. And you'll do anything and everything to keep that feeling, keep that focus, keep pleasing your partner. It's just natural. It's the way we are designed. However, what can happen is we can get lost in that feeling and start losing our own identity and our own way of being and our own choices in life and who we want to become, who we are connecting ourselves, like our dreams and desires sort of get squashed and put to the side when we're in love, when we're in that beautiful experience of being with somebody else and enjoying that companionship. And so is that fine line, isn't it, of being able to really understand who you are and live in your own self-sovereignty, right? Be able to hold your own desires, your own dreams, your own vision, and at the same time be walking alongside somebody else at the same time and encouraging their desires, dreams, and their own understanding of life and the way they want to be, without it influencing too much what you're, hey Irene, too much what's going on for you, right? Because there's this beautiful dance when you're in love and you're in a relationship. And when it's healthy, a healthy relationship should look like two individual people with their own dreams and desires and way of being, you've got your own things, right? And then you've got this beautiful, rhythm between the two people where you can recognize that somebody else is on the journey with you, and yet they've got other things going on outside of your relationship that they're pursuing, that they're focused on. And that can be different beliefs as well. So a really healthy relationship allows two people to have different beliefs and different visions and dreams about who they are and what they want, without it being a clash where it's causing a problem in your relationship. And so I know that it took me ages to work that out. I now understand that I'm an intuitive empath. And what that means is, and it's crazy because I used to hate the word empath, right? Because, I had so many people that I knew that were, oh, I can't go to the shopping centre because I get too influenced by other people, and I just had a bad rap in my own definition of what empath was. But now I recognize that actually that's what I am. It's one of the things that is my superpower, is being able to connect in with other people, and their energy, and feel what they're feeling, so that I can intuitively um, work out how to clear the things that are getting in the way, so that they can really step into living their dream and their desire to the fullest capacity. But as an empath, I used to feel, or I still do, I feel what other people are going through. And so that can really taint my own experience of myself if I'm not aware of it and do something to step back into my own energy, because I then get influenced by what's going on around me. And in my first relationship, that was a big one, because I just completely let go of all of my own identity, and I was just completely immersed in his world. And that meant every time he had, brought up a belief about society, or it was very anti society, right? Every time he brought something up, I'd have to reestablish, okay, maybe what I think, I never had a problem with that particular thing, right? Maybe that was wrong, because one of the things about my own belief system is that I go into this space of that I'm not capable. And so therefore, when I see somebody else's, or I used to see somebody else's belief, I'd go, maybe their belief is right and my belief is wrong, because I'm not capable of holding my own power, right? And so I used to be very easily influenced by those that were around me. And don't get me wrong, I used to, definitely say no when there was, danger around or something like that. But in normal, everyday life, I would just step down and not give my opinion, or say, my choices of what I wanted for dinner, or whether we were going to the movies, or whether we were making, a big life decision of moving house, or, preparing our future. All of those things I left in the hands of somebody else instead, because I didn't think I had enough power within me. And I can only say power because I didn't really allow myself to see my own magic. And so in those situations, next thing you know, like, I'm down this rabbit hole that wasn't a friendly one. Like, it wasn't a nice one, right? I was living with someone that was quite narcissistic, often put me down, and because it sort of related to my own beliefs about myself, I believed that he was right, like that I wasn't good enough. And I remember his mum saying, how come, you walk in, he asks you something and you say no, and within 5 minutes he's changed your mind and you're saying yes to something. I just didn't have that sustained energy of my own sovereignty. And it was because I didn't listen to my inner voice. I didn't connect in with her, who actually all the way through knew that I was doing the wrong thing, knew that it was a hard road, listening to my unconscious saying, I'm not good enough, I'm not capable, I'm broken in some way. And so therefore I didn't want to be rejected, right? I wanted to stay in love. I wanted to be valid, and I wanted to be valuable. I wanted to have someone love me. And so in that process, what I did was I became somebody else instead of really stepping into who I am. And so when it comes to listening to your inner voice, are you actually listening when it's important? Because your inner voice will be sharing with you some beautiful experiences of yourself if you just listen. Your inner voice will always give you the information of how you want to be treated, right? Whether something is in completely aligned action with your own beliefs, your own emotions, your own desires, your own vision and dream of the future, or whether you're being persuaded or manipulated in some way, in a coercive way that is taking you down some sort of rabbit hole that is not yours, but it's somebody else's, right? And so when you feel a sense of peace and clarity about your relationship decisions, that's when you've got more of a hold of listening to your higher self, that inner voice that's guiding you the right direction. When you can really trust your inner self, then it stops all this self-doubt and overthinking, and the things that are actually externally influencing you, you then have the opportunity for that pause, right? That opportunity to pause, reflect, consider the relationship with your higher self, with your inner voice. Have that dialogue with her. Is this going to lead me in the direction of my dreams and desires, or is this taking me off course, right? And I know that the fear of rejection and judgment, because of past experiences, all of the external pressure that can happen, all of those things are the reasons why we find ourselves not listening. We're going back into our old memories of being rejected before, so we don't want to have that experience anymore, right? And so through that process, we lose sight of our own dreams. I know my inner voice was saying to leave that first relationship a lot longer than I actually took action on it. My inner voice knew that relationship was unhealthy. But change can be scary, right? And I didn't know how I was going to survive by myself with 2 kids. I didn't know what my future looked like. I didn't trust my future. I didn't feel safe listening to my higher self or my inner voice. Even though it was uncomfortable, even though it was scary, even though it was painful, I stayed in that relationship instead because it was something that I knew. And I've got to tell you, when I made the decision to listen to her, to my higher self, to that inner voice instead, it wasn't a quick fix straight away, but it definitely led me to where I am now. Making that, hey Loz, making that decision to step out of the uncomfortable comfort zone, right, and into the unknown can be friggin' scary. However, those little incremental moments and movements, right, that happen is little tiny steps that get us walking as children, right? We all started somewhere where we were crawling or rolling and we hadn't made steps of our own. When you start moving those feet and moving those actions, taking little tiny actions towards your dreams, towards what you know is best for you, is your desired outcome for life, your destiny. It all starts with not knowing how, with stepping into the unknown, with being able to build that relationship with your higher self, right? That's the very first step. And that is the same, how do you do that? It's the same thing over and over again. It's spending time in quiet, meditating, journaling, listening internally instead of externally, switching off all the gadgets, being in your own energy will support you to start building that relationship and that little whisper to get a little bit louder, so that you're hearing that over and above the doubt, the worry, and all the stuff that the unconscious talks about, trying to keep you in the same patterns over and over again, even though they're uncomfortable, right? So all of those things, what do you agree on, Loz? All of those things is the stepping into the unknown. Is that what you're talking about? All of those things are how you move into that place of actually starting to live in your own magic, in your own sovereignty, and you start moving towards your own dreams, right? And it starts with making one decision first, and then making another decision, and then another decision. It's like one moment. Those things start building up. So I know that your higher self has words of wisdom for you that you're not listening to. I'm just getting this nudge that there's women watching this that are not listening to that intuitive nudge of what the next step is. And I completely believe that we have so much more on offer in our life if we would just listen to our magic, to our inner voice, and move into choosing our dreams instead of choosing limitation, choosing to settle. Listening to inner voice, yes, stepping into unknown over the familiar that you know is not where you should be. Yeah, absolutely. So every time you go into that space of limiting yourself and settling for something that you know you don't deserve, you deserve better, I want you to stop and pause and think for a moment. Why am I allowing myself to be in this relationship this way, right? How is it serving me? Because everything serves in one way and limits in another. So how is this serving me? Now, sometimes those relationships are serving you because then you don't have to look at them, right? You don't have to look at your own power. You don't have to look at other things that are scaring you to be that strong. Live in your magic. Make choices. When I made that decision to leave, it was a bit scary, right? And I didn't have enough trust in myself or confidence in myself to go from that straight into living by myself with 2 kids. I just didn't. So what I did was I moved in with his mum. I moved in with his mum and had some safety, right? Now, that ended up being a bit challenging in its own right, but through that process, it gave me an opportunity to breathe, to be not in a relationship. You know, I had pretty much my own freedom. It was tough. We lived in 1 bedroom, me and the 2 kids. But through that, I started getting to know myself a bit more. I started to see that actually I was pretty strong, that I had the opportunity or the ability to go, no, I want more than this. And I know that there's more than this out there for me. And so I just took a little step. And that little step meant that I was able to breathe a bit, take stock, see where I was at, reorientate myself. Through that process, in that little safety bubble, I stepped out and went and did a massage course. Did a diploma in remedial massage and started this career. Started the understanding of energy and, I didn't know it at the time. I was looking for something that I could do that wasn't going to mean I had to work for somebody else. And I fell into it actually because what was happening was that I was looking for something like aromatherapy. And the mother-in-law that I was living with said, let's do that together. We were going to self-teach ourselves aromatherapy. Now, I want to share this because it's important to recognize how your higher self is leading you all the way, right? These are those white rabbit moments. And so I was looking for aromatherapy and I got all the books together and we were going to set out this structure of the way we were going timetable and we were going to study and all the things. And just as I was getting it all together, she got a promotion at work. And she came home and she said, I can't do that anymore because I've got more time at work. It's a bigger, better responsibility, all of those things. She said, but I just saw in the newspaper that there is a massage course, like it's a 12-month diploma, and there's an aromatherapy element to it, subject. So why don't you check that out? And I can look after the kids because I had to go once a month to another town, which was like a couple of hours away. We were living in the country. And she said, I can look after the kids. You do this for 12 months. You've got a diploma, blah, 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 right? So I ring up the ad. I'm feeling this in a job I just started. My inner voice is saying this is not right for me. Yeah, there you go, Janine. Lovely to have you on here, hun. So I rang up this ad, and she goes, oh, that ad shouldn't actually be in there because we only paid for this amount of space, And today it was cut off yesterday, so it shouldn't even be in there. And I went, oh, and she said, it's actually full. She said, but you wouldn't believe it. She said 20 minutes ago someone rang up and said that they couldn't make it, so we do have one spot. Do you see how your higher self can actually create things for you? And so here I was going in to do aromatherapy and just happened to have one spot because someone had just cancelled because someone accidentally put the ad in the newspaper a day more than was expected. And I did a diploma in remedial massage, totally forgot about aromatherapy until years and years later I got into essential oils. As you can see behind me, I'm right into essential oils. But that process took me on this path. But it's just that very first part of it, right? Listening to your inner voice that's sharing with you whether it's the right path for you, or are you being influenced externally by either your partner, somebody else, the world. This is the way it should be done, right? Yeah, actually, yeah. Always has my back, Gina. That's one of the things that I always make sure, it's such a given now that I don't even talk about it, is that everything always works out for me. And so when you can really dive into your own self-sovereignty and build that relationship with your higher self, that's when you are on this remarkable, magical journey that is filled with awe and wonder and excitement and adventure. And, there's always twists and turns because that's life. We're human. We're not perfect. And if it was just one straight line, I think everyone would be bored silly. It's full of twists and turns. But in those turns and in those twists, when you're listening to your higher self, that is when you can still hear her. She's like, hey, do this, do that. And she's sharing with you ways of staying on the road. So this month we've actually got our monthly mixer is called Own Your Own Dream. And is based in this whole concept of recognizing that we are influenced external to ourselves by people that mean well maybe, but aren't always on the same page and holding us accountable. Now, when you've got someone that's holding you accountable to your dreams, hold on to that person, right? Because that person is supporting you and influencing you in a good way. That's helping you to stay in your own magic. But when you've got people in there that are just slightly gaslighting you, or just slightly, so caught up in their own dreams that they're not in your, supporting you in your dreams, that's when you want to question what this relationship's all about, right? And why am I staying here? So we're going to talk more of it in depth in Own Your Own Dreams, which is a free monthly mixer that we've got on this month. So if you're wanting to jump in and be part of that, just put dream in the comment and we'll send you the link. And that's pause for this week. Totally enjoy, hold on and sit and reflect. Where am I being influenced and how am I being influenced? And be aware of why you're choosing to allow that influence to stay, right? Take care. Enjoy the rest of your week.